Hey y'all, good morning. I hope this message reaches you well and in good spirits. I am super excited because this is just a really good and full week for the Messy Movement Lab. And I wanted to share a little bit about what's going on and all the things so that you can jump in and join us where you feel like you're going to get the most benefit and the most support for your self-care and pleasure journey. So some of you all may have seen I'm running a 24-hour $1 sale, y'all, right now. And let me tell y'all something. Like, I've never done anything like this before, but I am just like really wanting to make sure that the people who want to have access to this work, get a chance to like jump in there, kind of see what we're doing, see how it's moving, see what we're about, and then make a decision about whether or not this is a space where you want to continue to learn. So I really want you, as you are buying into this course, to really think and pause with intention. Yes, it's $1. Yes, it's like a no-brainer buy, but I also want you to think about like, okay, am I really committed to making the time to do this work right now? And if I'm not, is this an opportunity for me to maybe just like, maybe take a pause, come back to a later sale or offer? Or is it, is this the time for you? Are you ready to really cultivate a self-pleasure practice? Are you really ready to cultivate a consistent self-care practice? Are you really ready to start to think about the ways in which you want to unlearn sexual shame and how you embody a sense of pleasure and embody your experience of the erotic on a day-to-day basis? Like if that's a big yes for you, not just kind of like maybe like let me try it out and see, but if that's a big yes for you, then this is definitely the opportunity for you, one, to get a couple exercises that you can do this week that can really like help you loosen up some tension, get out of your head and get connected to your body, and really allow yourself to experience something else other than distress, chaos, frustration, etc. So that $1 sale, it's going to end actually in 2 hours. So go ahead and jump on that. It's at the link in my bio. For those of you all who are like, you already know that you're ready to join the Messy Movement Lab, but maybe you're kind of hesitant about making that commitment to join for the full year. So I want y'all to know, like, when I teach y'all, I teach hard, okay? Like, I expect that if you join the membership, that you have every intention to be a part of the membership for at least a year, right? So I created this membership as a way for people to be able to get the tools and the practices and theories and terms and all of that you need to know prior to coming to work with me in person. Our in-person experiences are absolutely phenomenal. And as we all know, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic. And so I have no plans for any in-person experiences for this year. But I do have plans for next year, God willing, that, we're, past this, or I shouldn't say past this, but that we're in a space where it is safe for us to convene in person again. And so, but in order to attend my workshops live, my masterclasses live, my retreats live, like any in-person experience that I'm hosting, it is required that you have a membership to be a part of the studio. And I'm doing that for a couple reasons. One, because we have so many people who are wanting to access this practice from across the globe. And I'm extremely grateful, one, that y'all would even want to work with me and that you trust that I can guide you into this space of really reclaiming pleasure and rewriting the story that you have and embody around your sexuality. And so what I've noticed from the 3 years that I've spent touring across the country and over the last decade of teaching is that a lot of times people show up in these spaces and one, they don't really know what to expect. Two, they're a bit afraid. Three, they don't know any of the other people in the space. And four, they're really trying to learn from the very beginning and get all of the tools in a setting that's really dedicated to kind of giving you like a really nice catalyze you into the next step. It's supposed to help you kind of shape some of what you already know so that you can have an even deeper experience with your body and an even deeper experience with your with your experience around pleasure. And so that can't happen if you're still like fumbling through some of the beginning knowledge, like learning some of the terms that I use in class, or you're very focused on like the choreography and it's hard to get out of your head around that if you don't have the choreography, and or if there's a lot of confusion or restriction around being able to really feel comfortable in your body in a space with other people, and then you get in the space and it's like, instead of being able to fully enjoy the experience that you're having with us, you're still trying to do that beginning work of getting out of your head. And so our monthly online studio, which is called the Rose Quartz membership, is designed to help you do all of those things and to create an at-home practice that will allow for you to start to do this work, not just once you show up for a class, but also so that not just when you show up for a class, but also at home. Like, you have something that really grounds you and carries you at home, to be able to do this work, even if you're not showing up for a live class experience. Like, I'm not about conference hoarding, y'all. Like, I tell you all the time, like, you should sign up for the things that you feel like are in the best alignment with your needs and where you're wanting to go. You feel like you trust the practitioner, etc. I don't think that you have to buy 50 or 100 different experiences in one year in order to like get to your goal. Like, and if you do that, it really doesn't allow for you the opportunity to process and sink into the information, because at that point you're just kind of hoarding the information instead of actually activating it. And so, this monthly membership really gives you an opportunity to say, okay, I've got some practices that I can learn at home, because our monthly practice is pre-recorded. It's usually somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour, and it gives you like little tools that you can use every month to be able to drop into your body, to be able to reconnect to your experience of pleasure, and to be able to create a consistent self-care practice that allows for you to feel more radiant and more at ease, and to actually take time to rest. And if you're a go-getter like me, I know that rest is hard. Like, y'all, I'm not doing this work because I think that I've mastered all things self-care, or I've mastered all things, liberation. Like, I teach because I love to teach, and I teach hard, right? And like, the folks in my studio will know, like, I don't take no shit. I'm not here for you not being accountable for the work that you set out to do. Like, just, it doesn't matter what the cost access point is. Like, if you signed up, I expect for you to show up and do the work for yourself. And there are consequences if you don't, right? And so I think that, this space is really critical for you to be able to, one, get your beginning tools, and to understand like what it is that you need to know before you come into a live space, so that when you get to one of the retreats, you're actually able to enjoy it. You're able to rest. You're able to, connect with people that you've been talking with online over the course of the year. Like, you're able to really, bring in some of the research and exploration and etc. that you've been kind of diving into over the past few months, and then your in-person experience amplifies that, as opposed to having to start over from the very beginning. And I want you all to be able to enjoy these experiences, so that when we get to a retreat, it can actually be a retreat and not a conference where you're going from class to class, back to back for 4 or 5 days. Like, I want you to be able to slow down. I want you to be able to rest. I want there to be spaciousness in the way that we work together, but that can't exist if we don't do a little bit of pre-work. And also, it gives you an opportunity to kind of test out whether or not I'm the right teacher for you, right? I know that a lot of times, like, in the coaching industry, like, a lot of people are really wanting that closeness, and they're really wanting to buy into spaces where they can be held in a very particular way. And I think that this space holds us in a very particular way, but I know for a fact the way that I teach is very much like, it's right there, it's in your face, and I'm going to call on you to do exactly what you showed up to do. So this isn't the space for you if you're not really committed to like doing the work. You really just kind of want to test things out. You really just want to like kind of feel around and see if maybe this will work for you. Like, I want you to come in with the full intention to show up and do the practices as they're outlined. I want you to show up and do the work in a way that will really allow for you to learn something, right? Like I want you to take something away from this. 20, 30 years from now, I don't want the conversation to still be that people need this work. I want it to be a thing that we're coming back to just for like joyful relearning, for, just for a refresh, for a reminder, and just to reconvene because we love being together, but not because we're still in a very drastic fight with how we allow ourselves to experience pleasure. And I hope that makes sense. So what I've done with the membership is there's two options that you can do. One, you can just go ahead and join the membership. There's a couple different tier options that will allow for you to either do just a very personal self-study where you get all of the tools and practices and they're sent to you every month. You get access to the online portal, and then that's it. And you do the practice on your own. You join us when we have like our group coaching class every month. But then if you're wanting to have a little more guidance, like you kind of want to have like some weekly classes with me, you really want to find out, like you want some active engagement and active guidance around how to really get into your practice, you're going to want to select option 2. And then what we're announcing in June is, but what's coming out in June is I'm going to be offering a drop-in schedule, right? And so I created this drop-in schedule because, again, my membership is not for people who are just wanting to test it out. My membership is for people who are really ready to commit to actually being like in the studio, being a member, who really want the long-term engagement. I pour a lot of energy, and so do the other members, into creating a space for accountability and consistent guidance. And so this isn't a space for you to jump in and jump out, right? And the way in which we hold that boundary is if you sign up and you cancel your membership, you are immediately lose access to everything, right? It's not I'll sign up for this month and get all the access to the content, and then I'll just cancel my membership in a couple weeks, and then that'll be good enough for me. This is not the space to do that, and there are consequences for that. If you do that, you lose immediate access, and that's it. The best way for you to get into a class, if you're just trying to test things out, see if this is the right relationship for you, is, one, pay attention to, join the email list so that you can know about when I'm doing little flash sales, like what I'm doing today for the $1 sale where you get a couple practices. Or you can join our drop-in class schedule, which will be released in June. And these classes they'll be offered twice a week at different times, so that people who are not domestic to the U.S. can also be able to access this class at a time that is like a decent hour. And they're going to kind of go through some of the practices that we do in the class. It'll give you a little bit of exposure to not just the language of pleasure-centered movement, but also some choreography, and just like, just an opportunity to really get into and sinking into this practice of embodying our erotic and sensual self in a place that feels good for us, and that feels enlivening, and so that schedule will be opened up in June, and you'll be able to register for that through my website, either the Messy Movement Lab or RashidaKanbeMiller.com. But if you know that you're actually ready to be a part of the membership studio, then you're going to want to either try one, go ahead and sign right up for the monthly membership, and that link is sent to folks that sign up for the wait list or sign up for our general newsletter. You'll get the link to join either way, but then there's also another little option that gives you, just like if you're like, I need to know a little bit more. I know I'm kind of like, I'm right at the edge of making that commitment, but I need a little more information. I've offered and created a 10-day trial, and so this 10-day trial is like, it's so dope, y'all. Like, you literally get guidance from me every day for 10 days, and it comes to you by email, and it drips out so that you aren't overwhelmed by going in the course and seeing all of the course materials listed. They're literally guided exercises every single day for 10 days. In addition to those guided prompts, which are coaching tools, exercises, movement practices, etc., you're also going to get access to a live class with me me. And so again, they'll be offered at 2 different times. One time that's, accessible for folks that do not live in the US, and then one time that is accessible for folks that live in the US. And you get a chance to go to either one of those. You'll also get access to whatever our guest masterclass is for the month. And this month we have a class on self-portrait and pleasure with Amanda Claire, and I think that you all will absolutely love it. Amanda's amazing. She has been my retreat photographer for the last couple years, and it has just been such a pleasure to be able to work with her and have her as a part of this experience, and to see the way in which she documents the people that come to these experiences and retreats. And I'm really excited for her to talk to us about what does it look like and what does it mean to really document ourselves in a state of pleasure, in a state of, just openness, in a state of radiance, and like how can we do that in a way that feels good for us. So you're going to get access to that 10-day trial, that class, as a part of the 10-day trial. Now, here's the cool thing about the trial. It doesn't recharge. It doesn't just automatically charge you at the end of the 10 days. So you don't have to worry about that. You pay a one-time fee, and you pay that fee and you get access to all of the course material. And then at the end of that class time, I'm going to reach out with an invitation, and it's going to give you an opportunity to join the studio for the next month, right? And so if so that means that you get a little bit of time and a little reprieve to be able to process some of the information that you've received. You get a chance to really slow down and think about am I ready to make this commitment? And if so, all right, where do I sign up? Yes. And so I just want you to know, I am very committed to you all having a very fulfilling and vibrant and radiant relationship to your body and to pleasure, to your erotic self, to your sensual self. And I know that takes some commitment on both of our ends. And so I want you to know that if you're coming into this space, that I'm going to hold the space for you to be able to do that unlearning and to do that re-embodiment work. And I expect for you to show up and do the same for yourself. And again, at the end of the day, there are, this work is integral to the way in which we will understand what it means to not only survive but thrive. And I don't say that lightly, and I know that it's like a big catchphrase right now. We're not just trying to survive, we're trying to thrive. But I want you all to remember some of the things that I've shared with you over the last few weeks, that our pleasure really is our fuel. It's not a reward. It's not something that we're waiting to give ourselves after we've done a week of work. It's not something we're waiting to give ourselves, once things get better. It's not something we're waiting to give ourselves when we finally meet a partner that, is in alignment with our desires or whatever. Our pleasure is something that we are accessing because it literally fuels us to be able to take the next steps every 5 minutes, 5 minutes at a time. And again, this practice isn't about long, elaborate rituals or self-care productions for Instagram or whatever the case may be. It's literally trying to fit pleasure and self-care into the messiness of our day-to-day lives. And I don't know about y'all, but life can get hella messy for me. To-do list piling up, business list piling up, multiple things going on, navigating things with my family. It's not always this picture perfect reality. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that we should wait until things are perfect or in some perfect condition to be able to give ourselves and our bodies something that really will allow us to recharge. So I hope that this resonates with you. And if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I will be sending out a couple emails for those of you all who, join any one of the offers that I listed above. You can find all of those offers listed individually at the link in my bio. So go ahead and hit it whichever direction it is. Go ahead and hit that, and I will see you in the studio. Bye.